Hi, my name is Christina Bruun and I'm a master's student of experience design at Hyper Island. Today I'm going to take you through 10 simple steps to make you feel more comfortable in your next one-on-one interview. Individual interviews are critical for your human-centered design research since they enable a deep and rich view into the behaviors, reasoning, and lives of people. Okay, so let's get started. First tip, have a clear goal. This might seem like an obvious tip, yet very important. Interviews can be structured and follow a script of questions, or relatively unstructured in a conversational format. However, even in that case, you need a guiding set of topics to address in the session. Before recruiting the users, it is therefore important to discuss the following aspects. Which design problem is being investigated? How will the findings be used? In which format will the research be conducted? And who do you need to talk to? So to sum up and appoint at least a few topics you have to get covered. Second tip, recruit the right people. When you have a clear goal for your interviews, you can start recruiting. Remember to get in contact with your extreme users, which can be people with special needs. Without understanding what people on the far reaches of your solution need, you'll never arrive at a solution that can work for everyone. Interviews are best conducted in person so that the nuances of the expression and body language are recognized. If possible, arrange to meet the participant at his or her home or workplace so you can see them in context. This makes the participant feel more comfortable and it gives you a chance to immerse deeply in the interview. So, in order to make sure your time is well spent, plan strategically who to recruit and meet them in their own environment. Third tip, be well prepared. Now, when you have a few interviews scheduled, a nice thing to do is either to call the participants before your visit or to send them an introduction letter on email where you briefly will explain the project and introduce the people who will be participating in the interview. This will help the participant to feel more comfortable. To avoid overwhelming the participant, 2 or max 3 people from the research team should attend the interview. 1 person as the interviewer and 1 as the note keeper. Also, think about preparing yourself for the interview. Dress to meet the style of your interviewee. Don't make them feel uncomfortable by dressing too casual or too smartly. So prepare both yourself and your participant for the interview. Fourth tip, introduce yourself. Let's now jump straight into the interview. You've just arrived at the participant's home, or maybe you met them through Skype. Either way, the conversation is usually a little bit awkward in the beginning. My best advice is to let it be and allow the beginning of your interview to be awkward. Eventually, the moment will pass and you won't even think about it anymore. A good way to start an interview is to introduce or reintroduce yourself in the project. So to sum up, the introduction is about making the participant feel comfortable and ready for the interview. Fifth tip, warm up the participant. Have 1 or 2 icebreakers ready to warm up the participant. For example, let's say you're researching people's travel habits. A good icebreaker would be to ask the participant to tell about their best trip or a good travel experience they had. Use the icebreaker to really get to know your participant. So, warm up the participant by asking an open question they will find easy to talk about. Tip number 6, observe without evaluating. It is time to deep dive in the interview. Start specific, go broad, and then dig deep. Be aware of the order of the questions can affect people's answers. Observe the participant and try to uncover both their cognitive and emotive behavior, what they're actually doing, and then how they feel about doing it. It is very important to avoid psychological evaluation. Observe the participant without judging them or get affected by their attitude. Especially be aware of how you're responding to what they're saying. If the participant senses eagerness in your voice, it can draw them to say what they think you would like to hear. So, to sum up, your job is to learn as much as possible about the participant to create deep empathy. Tip number 7, ask the 5 whys. When you observe a problem, use the 5 whys and question what the pain point is really about. Let me give you an example. Your participant says, I'm unhappy traveling with public transport. Why? Well, I get really stressed. Okay, why? I'm afraid I miss my train or to take the wrong train. Why? I don't know where I'm going or where the right platform is. Why? I haven't been there before, so I don't know how the station will look like. Why? Well, all the stations looks different. So to sum up, use the 5 whys to get into the core of a problem and to really understand your participant. Tip number 8, break up the questions with exercises. So, think about the tempo of the interview. A good idea is to break up the interview to keep the concentration. A break could either be to go for a short walk or to do an exercise. So, let's use the example from before and say that you're researching people's travel habits. One exercise could be to present a timeline for the participant and let them fill in the different steps of the last trip. Another exercise is to use photos and show, let's say, 4 photos of food. It could be street food, Michelin food, fast food, and home cooking. And then ask the participant to elaborate on each photo and explain how they eat or prefer to eat when they're traveling. So, have some exercises planned to make the participant engage throughout the interview. Tip number 9. Wrap up the interview nicely. Be aware of the time, and when the interview is about to come to an end, take the time to say thank you to your participant and let them know that their help is really important for the project. A good way to end your interview is to ask your participant how they feel about the interview. In most cases, people feel good after an interview. 1, because it feels good for them to know that they have helped you, and 2, because it feels good to talk about yourself when people are actively listening. So, say thank you and mean it, and most importantly, make the participant feel great. Tip number 10. Download the interview straight after you had it. Always download your interview as soon as possible and do not postpone this task any longer than necessary. If you have been in a participant's house, find a place nearby where you can sit down and go over the interview. Make sure to write down A, who the participant was, B, top 5 or maybe top 10 observations, C, top 5 quotes, D, top 5 insights, and perhaps E, the top 5 opportunities, which could be built on top of the insights. So, go over the interview right after you've finished it. Okay, so let's sum up on our learnings. First tip, have a clear goal. Second tip, recruit the right people. Third tip, be well prepared. Fourth tip, introduce yourself. 5, warm up the participant. 6, observe without evaluating. 7, use the 5 whys to dig deep. 8, break up the questions with exercises. 9, wrap up the interview nicely. And 10, download straight after. So this is my 10 tips, and I hope that you can use them to improve your next deep dive interview. And thank you for watching, and remember, spending the time with people, understanding the world and uncovering their needs is a privilege. I really hope that you will enjoy it as much as I do. Thank you.